Hi there, this is Laura and Tina, and you're listening to Spillin the HR Tea. This is the show where HR meets humor and confidentiality and, well, stories told vaguely enough to protect everyone involved. We are your HR insider, myth buster, and occasionally your emotional support humans. Pour yourself something warm and maybe something strong, and let's spill it. Welcome back to Spillin the HR Tea. So today, this is episode 7 already, and today we're going to talk about liars. Liar, liar, pants on fire. And I don't know about you, Tina, but I've certainly had my fair share of liars.
Yes.
Liars like lying right to my face. Like, what is that?
Yeah, right.
So,
I mean, just come clean at that point and, tell us what's going on. I would much rather have somebody say, yeah, you know what? I did do that and I really messed that up. And what do I got to do to make it right? But it's funnier when they continue to lie to you.
And you know it.
And you know it.
So sometimes do you find yourself being able to feed into the lie a
Yes.
little bit just to see how far they're going to take it?
Yeah. Maybe it's our weird HR sense of humor that allows us to do that just a little. Like, I'm going to play along knowing that I just watched the video.
One of those,
But
it wasn't me, it wasn't me. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me more about what happened here. Yeah. Or what you think happened.
Oh, that is so funny. So why don't you go ahead and kick us off today with your first liar story?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I have 2 really good stories. So the first one was, it was a video. It was a video that we had of this particular person. So came across an office space, sort of break room. It wasn't a place where people were staffed, like sitting. That wasn't their office space, but it was a space that was separate. It was the lower level of a building that you could go, and there were restrooms and a staff lounge and sort of an area to decompress. And came across a hole in the wall, just like, oh my gosh, what happened here? Like, completely out of the blue, hole in the wall. And of course we had cameras. So we're like, hey, what happened here? Like, my gosh, I hope somebody didn't fall and like crack their head and, they're sitting at their desk with a concussion. I can't even say that. And so anyway, we pull the video and we see the gentleman. I don't know what had happened that he was so upset, if it was a personal issue or a work issue, but punched the wall. Like, you could see him walking down the hall and just punch the wall, put a big hole in it. So, pulled the gentleman in and said, hey, we have this lower level and there's a hole in the wall that's sort of a mystery. Do you know anything about this? No, I don't even go down there. I don't think I've ever been down there. I don't even know what it looks like down there. Meanwhile, I'm like, really? Never been down there? Like, there's a nice kitchen down there, nice break. Nope. Don't know anything about it. Never. Now, this was it couldn't have been more than a day since it happened that somebody noticed the hole in the wall and we watched the video. It's not like it was there from like 6 months prior that somebody might have forgotten. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So, nope, never been there. Don't know anything about it. Well, I have this video. So I turn my computer around so he could see the screen of the video, and I press play. And I'm like, is this you? Oh. Well, yeah, now that you say that, I do remember being there, but I didn't hit that wall. And I was like, if you're saying this is you, and you can see you hitting the wall. Well, maybe I hit the wall, but I didn't put that hole in there. Somebody else must have put the hole in it. What?
Oh,
We're continuing the lie? I'm literally watching the video in front of you. And he's continuing the lie about I couldn't possibly have put the hole in the wall. But we're watching this together. We watched you. Now, it's kind of grainy, of course. I don't know why we can't seem to get security footage that's not grainy. I mean, this was a long time ago, but you could definitely tell it was him, and you could definitely see him punching the wall. So obviously that had happened. But yeah, just continued the lie. I've never been into that space to, yeah, that was me. Oh yeah, I did hit the wall, but I couldn't have put a hole in it. To now we have this video. So it was like, okay.
So under a normal circumstance, what would have been the consequence of, would he have had to fix the repair? Or like what happens with that?
Yeah, well, disciplinary action in this particular case. And I think, I don't know about you and how you feel about this sometimes, but mentioning at the beginning of this session, I appreciate when people come clean without me having to go through this rigmarole of watching the video and you continuing to lie about it. I think if the gentleman had said, I had a phone call from a family member and I lost my temper and I'm so sorry. I'll pay for it. Whatever you need me to do, I will take care of it. I'll get a contract, whatever you want. I think that response in my mind would have been like, okay, yeah, understandable, but make sure like we're not damaging stuff in the future. Yes, we'll go ahead and have that fixed and you can pay for it. But I think the fact that, when they continue to lie about things, in my mind, it escalates it to, now you're at disciplinary action because now you've damaged company property. You didn't tell anyone that you did it. If you had come clean, maybe when it happened, when you did it and be like, oh my gosh, I just put a hole in the wall. I have to tell someone. Again, I think that for me, that's a whole different level of how you handle the, moving forward with that. But when you continue to lie, and even though it's on video, in my mind, that's grounds for disciplinary action, up to and including termination, because now I can't trust you.
Right.
Because you're going to continue to lie to my face.
Have you ever been in this situation where you're willing to accept the lie?
Oh. Nothing's coming to mind, but give me an example, like of a time maybe that you've...
So,
I can't think of one.
This is kind of embarrassing to me.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, and again, 100 years ago, right? Do you remember, maybe yes, maybe no, but there was a fashion that you wore very long skirts with high heels and then a longer shirt, like almost like a tunic to it. So I had this beautiful, because this one's about me, right?
Oh.
So I had this beautiful navy blue silk outfit, beautiful high heels, and I always felt like $1,000,000, right? Yeah. Like strutting my stuff, like I know I look good.
Yeah.
Like this is my favorite outfit. So I had stopped at the water fountain. I went to the restroom. I stopped at the water fountain, and I was walking down the hallway heading into my office when my coworker pops out of her office and says, "Your skirt's in your underwear."
Oh no!
No, we had cameras. Like I was working at a bank at the time, and there were cameras everywhere, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" So and I said, "Look in the hallway, like who's in their hallway?" And there was this young man. His name was Mike. He worked in the IT department, and my coworker said, "Well, yeah, I am pretty confident you were showing your goodies to the IT department." And I was mortified, right? I was so embarrassed. And so we watched the video, and, absolutely. And so then you kind of, working in HR, hey, look, you have to have the conversation. You've got to follow it up. Like,
boy. What did you see?
Well, I actually had my coworker do it because I was so embarrassed. And so she called him in and said, you might have seen something, about Laura. And he looked at her straight in the face and said, I saw nothing.
Oh.
So
sweet.
That to me was a completely acceptable lie because there was no way you were going to miss that.
I love it. In that case, yes, totally acceptable to save my feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Because I was totally okay with it too. Like I ditched him. Like anytime I saw him, like I avoided him for like a month after that because I was so embarrassed.
Oh.
But you know, it happens.
So
When you
sweet.
wear those long skirts, sometimes
I know.
things happen. I don't wear them anymore, ever.
It only took one time.
It only took one time, learned my lesson, and on camera. So
Yeah. Oh.
yeah, yay. Yay me.
Well, okay, so I bet you have one too. A sleeping on the job story. A liar, pants on fire.
Yeah, I do.
Sleeping on the job. Yeah, so worked at, it was 24/7. It was a 24/7 operation. And it wasn't unusual, I suppose, necessarily to find someone maybe who accidentally fell asleep. I mean, really did accidentally fall asleep. There might be times when it was slow and, just didn't have much to do and maybe you nod off for a second. But so it happened in particular. And a manager came in early and said, hey, this person's sleeping at their desk. So we wandered over to check on this person, and they had a pillow and a blanket.
Oh, bless their hearts.
Yeah. So I maybe wasn't accidental. And they were snoring. So it wasn't like they could be like, oh, I was just meditating or I just shut my eyes for 5 seconds. Like head down on the pillow, on the desk, blanket. And so, of course, a little shake like, hey, hello, hi, welcome back. We noticed you were sleeping. And at that time, that was grounds for termination immediately. Mm-hmm. I'm sure other organizations handle it different ways, but for us, it was immediate termination because it had happened before. So we wake this person up. We're like, hello, you were caught sleeping at your desk. Now, their colleagues around them had indicated this person had been sleeping for quite some time. So the person's like, oh my gosh, I just accidentally fell asleep. And we're like, but you have a pillow and a blanket. No. Oh yeah. It was totally by accident. I just have that here, just for my comfort and, getting through the night. Oh, okay. Then they have an alarm on their desk that goes off while we're talking.
Oh, the coup de grace.
Yeah, something to wake them up before, management comes in and sees them sleeping at their desk. So not only did you get caught snoring, sleeping with a pillow and a blanket, you had an alarm set that went off while we're standing there and yeah. So unfortunately, in that particular case, it would have been grounds for termination either way. Mm-hmm. Unless you have a medical reason for maybe epilepsy or something. But is that epilepsy? No. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that falls asleep. Anyway. Narcolepsy. Thank you. Boy, the memory is fading. Maybe I need a nap. So that was, another liar, pants on fire. Do you just sleeping on the job?
Yeah. Yeah. I like the ones where if you're scheduled to work to a certain time and you're the last couple of employees on duty and the manager's long gone, right? Because it's after hours. Manager leaves around 5 or, whatever time. Yeah. And, they cut out early. And, nobody would have known anything different except, customers come.
Oh,
whoopsie daisy.
Oops, forgot about them.
Whoopsie daisy. So of course you get the customer complaint like, you say you're open, you're not open, that's lost business, right?
Yeah.
So call, ring a ding. Hey, what happened last night? Did something go on? Like, did you have an emergency or anything? Oh no, not at all. Because it was 2 people who left. Coworkers.
Oh boy.
They decided to shut the office down. Lie. No, we didn't leave. No, we didn't leave. And I'm like, okay, well, gosh, here, let me show you something again. We have them exiting the office on video as well as the security punches out.
Oh dear.
Bless their hearts. Yeah, but no, they would never, ever leave early.
Yeah.
from work. Not ever.
Not ever. No.
Not ever. Yeah.
I had a particular situation where the person left work early, people saw this person leaving and then come back at quitting time to clock out.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't think I've had that one.
Yeah. So that was an interesting conversation. Like, are you leaving and then coming back at your end time to punch out?
Wow. Kind of creative.
It's like the Seinfeld episode with George Costanza. That's like, is that wrong? Should I have not done that? It's like, that's stealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, but my favorite liar pants on fire. This is kind of, I don't know about you, but when you're going through the new hire pre-employment screening or whatever, part of the rule is you've got to take a drug test. Now, we don't check for a whole lot of things, but like a standard panel, like you can't test positive for marijuana, you can't test positive for the big drugs and that kind of stuff. Yeah. We'll even accept a dilute. Right? I know.
Really?
Well, it's a private company.
Oh, okay.
So,
got it.
So, so we're really, clearly we don't advertise that, right? But I'm not going to stop somebody's employment because it's a dilute. it is what it is. And so I had this person go through and the MRO, the medical review officer, rejected the specimen and said it was unspecified. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't even know what that means. Like that's what came back on the written report, fail unspecified. Now, I've been doing this gig for over 30 years. I have never had a drug screen come back that way.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh man. So I call the drug screen company. Well, we can't help you. You have to talk to the medical review officer. So I call the medical review officer and I said, hey, I've looked all through online. I talked to the background company. I don't know what this means. Like, I need to make an employment decision here, but I feel as though I'm unprepared to do that because I don't understand that. Mm-hmm. Well, it is what it is. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with that.
Yeah, but I don't understand it. Can you help me understand what's happening here? And they're like, it's non-human.
Oh, nuh-uh.
Way. For real. So I call the guy and I say, unfortunately, you didn't pass the background and, we can't continue your employment because you tested differently. I don't even know what to say, right? Yeah. Because they get, the candidates get the report.
Right.
Well, it says here it's unspecified. What does that mean? And I'm like, well, you're going to need to, I am positive that the medical review officer has talked to you.
Yeah.
And he said, well, no, they just said it was your decision. So you're saying no? And I said, yes, that is correct. I am saying no. No, because I don't understand, why it would be an animal.
Yeah.
Why would you use an animal's urine in a drug test? And, it's not right. And that's not true. Just let me take it again.
Oh,
and I'm like,
no
way, pal. You're out. No. Yeah, but he argued and he argued and he argued. And I got a call from the background company asking me to stop this guy. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm not the one who, yeah. Where was your person? Like, why wasn't your person watching you? Because, you're kind of watched when you're doing the urine test. So
I don't want to know where they carried that in from or on what part.
Right. So talk about a big liar pants on fire.
Yeah. Similar, I had someone who appeared to be under the influence at work. And, I didn't want to take them in my car. It weren't taxis where we are. And they said, oh, my girlfriend can come and pick me up and take me. Okay, that's fine. So I followed, just followed to the drug test site, make sure they get there okay. And then the drug test comes back as the low temperature. So she must have brought her urine when she picked him up and gave it to him to take in to use as his specimen.
Wow.
I was like, I followed in the car. How did that happen? unless she brought it with her, unless when he called and said, you need to come and get me. In hindsight, I probably should have been part of that conversation about here's what's happening, or maybe find some alternative to get this person to the drug test site. It was only a couple minutes away. I mean, I literally followed because I thought, well, you don't want them stopping off or something, but I didn't see anything fishy going on in the car in front of me. Like, how did you get that?
Yeah.
Well, I just, no thanks.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Yeah. No, thanks.
Just be honest.
So I know I've expressed how I feel about, people just sort of come clean initially. Does that change how you handle as far as disciplinary action, or if people just sort of come clean initially or come sort of to the confessional before the questioning even begins?
Yeah. Maybe not, depending on what the infraction is.
Yeah, that's true.
But I certainly have more respect for people who tell on themselves. Mm-hmm. I tell on myself all day long.
Yeah, me too.
When I had a really great boss, whenever I feel that I, stepped out of line or, laughed at somebody inappropriately, as I am guilty of doing, I immediately go to my boss and say, I used to, I guess, go to my boss and say, you might get a follow-up call, type of thing. And here's what the situation was, and here's how it came down. Yeah. What I have a zero tolerance for is the stories. Because I do consider myself, I do try to spare people's feelings, so I might not be as brutally honest as that you could be, and in some situations should be. Yeah. But I have much more respect for people who come clean right out of the get-go, because when you already know what the answer is, or even I guess what I really dislike even more is the intentional. So, if you're in a investigation for something that's really kind of big. Mm-hmm. So, not to go back on, love in the workplace type of thing, but if I'm asking someone, did this happen? And they create a story. Yeah. And because of the tightness of your relationship, like if it's somebody that you've worked with for years and you've always had a good understanding, yet they're in the middle of this brouhaha, right? Yeah. And at least I kind of lean towards that ear a little bit, because my experience with this person has always been one of integrity, right? Mm-hmm. And then when you find out that isn't true, it's like, to me, it's like a heartbreak a little bit, because that kind of changes the entire relationship. And honestly, I don't recover well from that. And I'll back up the bus, whoop, 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 and I will never trust you again. Yeah. Ever. And I think that's worse.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's something that I have, just as in the future for us to chat about a little bit too, is the idea of, HR being the loneliest profession. Oh, and I think we'll get into that maybe in the last session, because I really am curious about your thoughts on that. But I agree with you. It's almost like we have to shut ourselves off for that reason, because you don't know when I don't recover well from that either. So I can't wait to talk more about that in the last session about. And I'll be curious what other HR people think too.
Oh, for sure.
If they feel like it's, one of the loneliest professions, which is so funny. I'll save it for then, because I have a lot of stuff to say about that.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm sure others do too. Feel free to, put your comments in our, at our website, which is
spillinthehrtea.com. Yeah, feel free to send us an email on our website. Feel free to share with us if you have a great liar, pants on fire story. We'd love to spill the tea and share your story in the future as well.
Absolutely. Well, thanks so much, Tina. This is always, we could probably go on for hours on this one, but I think our time is up for today. But, thank you so much as always.
Thank you, Laura. Bye. And that wraps up today's episode of Spillin the HR Tea. If you enjoyed this conversation, go ahead and follow the show, because nothing says, I appreciate you, like clicking a little button. Got a topic you want us to spill on? Send it our way by visiting our website at www.spillinthehrtea.com. Until next time, stay hydrated, stay kind, and remember, your HR team sees everything, but we still love you.